I'm Justin Davis, and this is Dronecamp's RC. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Justin Davis, and you know that I'm no stranger to brushless micros. It seems like December has been month of the 3-inch micros because we have had tons of different guests on the channel. We had the FuriBee X140 here. That was an awesome review. I don't know if you saw that one or not. And I just reviewed the Gep Sparrow. This one was also a ripper. It had 1408 motors on here, and this thing absolutely rips on 4S. But today we're gonna look at this new offering from HGLRC. You guys know them on my channel because I've done various reviews for their flight controllers over the past year. They're pretty well known in the hobby. HGLRC makes the F4 Zeus. We have another one here. This is the XJB F36. This is sort of the all-in-one stack for brushless micros. And if you fly brushless micros, you know about HGLRC, but now they're starting to offer fully outfitted micro quads for you guys to fly. All you have to do is bind up the receiver to your radio and go fly this. Now we're going to put this little guy on the bench. I'm going to show you what comes in the box that it included. I'm also going to recommend a certain size battery for it. We're going to test out some different props also. We're going to check out some props from Rotor X that I have here. Thank you, Jeffrey Seymour, very much for those donations on the channel. We have some blue ones here, some pink ones. We're also going to try out some racecraft props. So battle of the props on this little HGLRC XJB 145 mini racer. Now here it is, guys. It's like battle of the 3-inch quads. We have the HGLRC XJB 145 right here in my hands, and it looks strikingly similar frame-wise, even the little motor standoffs here in the front, to the FuriBee X140. You can see that the FuriBee X140 is actually a stretch modified style frame with replaceable arms on the body. The XJB happens to be on the unibody, so it's an all-in-one frame on the bottom. So if you break an arm on this one, you're going to have to do a whole bottom part on there to replace it. But what I do like about the fact that this quad uses 4 bolts on the top to release it with a quick release, that way you can get to this HGLRC stack in the very top right here, get to your VTX and all that good stuff. I also had the receiver ready to go here. I had an XM Plus sitting here on the bench, so I went ahead and wired that up. And it's nice because they do have the wires coming out the back, and everything was labeled on the wires. Each wire was labeled. I haven't seen that before, so I gotta say thumbs up to HGLRC for doing that, making that a little easier to get you up in the air. Now performance-wise, this guy rocks on a 4S battery. I have this Tattoo battery here, and this is a 450 milliamp 75C battery, and it has a little XT30 connector on there, all ready to go. So they knew what we wanted to put on here, 3 to 4S. If you're new, fly it on 3S. If you're experienced pilot and you want maximum punch out, go ahead and put a 4S battery on this. It can handle it all day long because it does have 4-in-1 28 amp ESC stack right in the very bottom of the stack. Now each of these quads brings something different to the table. The original Sparrow that I flew here earlier a couple days ago, this one has a real run cam on there, and it has 1408 motors, giving it the largest motors out of these 3. The FuriBee X140 has the smallest motors at 1306s on here, and I believe those are 3100 kV. And the HGLRC is right somewhere in the middle with these flames. Those are 1407 3600 kV motors, so they're pretty good on 4S, and you can see they're just a little bit bigger than these 1306s. Now I like to talk about the pros and cons on each quad that I get on the channel, so I can give you guys sort of an honest overview of the quads that come to my bench. This was a nice detail. If you look on the very bottom of this quad, you can see they only use 2 motor bolts here, and they're trying to shave off a little bit of weight for you guys. Also, there's no extra hardware on the bottom of this unibody for extra arms on here like you have on the FuriBee X140. If you need to replace an arm, there's an awful lot of extra hardware on there, so removing all that hardware really lightens up the quad quite a bit. A unibody style frame will definitely save you a few grams on the final takeoff weight. And if you do buy this quad, go ahead and pull this strap off here. Put a full-size strap on here for 4S battery. This is just kind of a pain in the butt to get on and off this quad. I think this might have been an afterthought for this particular racer. If you look a little closer on this quad, you see this camera right here. It looks like some type of micro clone, the Runcam Swift clone, but actually this is HGLRC's own camera, and you've seen it here on the channel before. This is no stranger to the channel. There was a review a while back for the HGLRC XJB F428 all-in-one combo, and this actually comes with that combo. So nice little camera. It's 600 TVL. It's a CCD style camera with a 2.3 millimeter lens and 120 degree field of view. And if you already have one of those RunCam cables that you could just plug into the back of this from either Foxeer or RunCam, it'll actually work on the back of this camera. You can go into this OSD and make changes on the fly inside here. But I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, you don't need to do that because you have Betaflight OSD on this flight controller, and you can go in and change all of that around inside Betaflight, which I did really quickly. Now, if you look from the side, this quad has 1, 2, 3 in the stack just underneath this top plate, and I said that was removable by 4 bolts on the top of these standoffs. This is nice because you do have this VTX at the very top, and you have this snap-on style dipole antenna coming out the back. They did put a zip tie back here, which makes me happy because I'm feeling like this might fly into the props if it was any bit more wobbly. What I might suggest doing is taking a zip tie and coming off the top with a little bit of heat shrink over top of it, just to kind of hold it up out of the props. Or you can go straight down through this center plate down on the bottom. But this VTX did surprisingly well out in my field test. It's switchable between 25, 100, and 250 milliwatts. So all the way up on the top setting, you can see from the side there's a little LED right here, but it's really extremely hard to see. I turned on the quad first and I saw that it had 3 bars all the way across, so I knew it was in the top setting. So it does come, I believe, in the very top milliwatt setting for the maximum power for this VTX. I guess the only bummer about that is the fact that you can't see the LED from the top of this. So if you wanted to pull this whole stack off and put this underneath somewhere, if you could cram your XM receiver behind the camera, possibly in this spot right here, you can see there's a little bit of space there. You might be able to get it over on this side, and you could remove this whole top bar. If you're not going to fly a GoPro session on this, which you probably shouldn't because it would be a little bit heavy of a load for a 3-inch quad, and you're going to lose a lot of performance. If you fly around a tree and try to do sort of a power loop around something, you're probably just going to crash into the ground if you're carrying something as large as a GoPro session. And instead of having their battery cable come off the back end of the quad, they actually have it coming off the side right here, and they have it zip tied right here on the arm, which is nice. It sort of keeps it out of the way of the props. They didn't come over, they actually came under, which is a better detail for connecting up your battery. If it's a little bit long for you, just go ahead and twist it up like this and then plug it into your battery. That'll help shorten it up and keep it out of the props. Now, as far as camera protection goes in the front of the housing of this frame, it's not super protected. It does have this little top plate right here and 2 little side plates, and it really doesn't come out all the way to the edge of the lens, so the lens is sticking out just a little bit. And in my crash with the FuriBee X140, I crashed it straight into a post. These front arms kind of saved it because I hit straight on like this, and it just barely missed the camera. So I feel like this one's going to be kind of the same type of deal. If you do have a frontal crash with this into something solid, it's going to be pretty well protected up in there, but if anything gets in between right here, that's where you might have some camera damage. And now you're looking at the back of this bad boy. It does have LEDs and a buzzer built in on the very back, kind of a little mini combo back here. But one thing I noticed that was kind of a con was the fact that it was kind of just rubber band on here. So it's just loosely floating back here with a rubber band. You can see I can kind of move it back and forth right there. That's not super good. If I were you, I might take a couple of dabs of hot glue, maybe put right there just to give it a little extra security. Now, like I said, you can run this quad from 3 to 4S, and if you're a beginner, go ahead and run it in 3S, start out with that, and then move up to a 4S battery later. But these ESCs on here, they're 28 amp, like I said, and they're BL Heli. They are configurable for multi-shot, D-shot, and 1-shot on here, and have a burst up to 35 amps. So you're gonna get plenty of power punch and plenty of ceiling above a 4S battery. You shouldn't have any brownouts on this ESC setup. Now, this little guy is under the required registration rate, is under 250 grams. It actually comes in at 132 grams, and it's a super lightweight 3-inch racer. So if you're wanting to get something that has sort of a great power to weight ratio and will just have huge top end on the full throttle acceleration, I'm always looking for a quad that I can do a huge power loop over a tree or something fun and come back down out of that power loop and be able to save itself as it get back to the ground. I've had a lot of quads just come around and just not have enough punch at the very bottom end and just hit the ground and crash. So I felt like in this flight test with this little guy, I had plenty of extra power to punch out of things. So the box that came with it, it's not a great box. It's just a little tiny box with some sort of print on the side. It has no correlation to quad racing at all. There's like glasses and carrots and things on here, apples, whatever. But it's not about the packaging, it's about what's inside the box. You also get an extra set of props in here, actually one set of props. You just pull those out for you real quick, and they're very similar to Rotor X props. They're not exactly like them, so I wouldn't sort of say they're a clone. They're a 3045 prop, so it's a sort of standard looking 3-inch prop, and I'm not expecting a lot of vibrations out of this prop because it does look pretty clean. And while it does look extremely similar to the Rotor X props that I just got from my buddy Jeffrey, these are not exactly the same. These are 3045 props, and these are actually 3040. So while they do look strikingly similar, they are different. But you only get one set of these, like I said, in the box. Now, what I would also suggest trying out is some of the Racecraft 3-inch props. You can barely see it here because it's clear, but this is a great performing prop. Now, one beef that I sort of had with the way this camera's set up on here is that when I was flying this and testing out the Racecraft props or any of the props in the box, you can see a lot of prop inside the camera view, and some people don't like that, some people don't really care, but you do see some prop inside the camera view. Just want to let you know about that. Also in the box, guys, you do get prop nuts for each of your motors that come along inside these little tiny bags, and you also get tons of extra hardware in there. So HGLRC is pretty actually liberal with the extra hardware that they give you with this frame. So if any of these nuts fall off this quad while you're flying, you should have plenty of replacement parts in there. But like I say, go over this quad with a driver and check all of the nuts, maybe even put a little bit of Loctite where you have a metal to metal connection, anywhere where you have something going into a standoff, because these are pretty important. You don't have to worry about metal into plastic connections, but it's always good to use a little dab of Loctite. You also get this piece of paper inside your box, and it's sort of a manual, not really, but it just gives you some information on S-Bus setup, DSM, iBus, and it gives you PPM information on here for configuring your receiver. Now, what's crazy about this VTX, I was showing you guys this before, it has 3 different power settings, but it has like 9 different bands on here: A, B, E, F, R, U, O, L, and H bands, and 1 through 8 channels on each different band. So there might be some illegal ones here for certain countries, so don't use those in those countries unless you're qualified to use them. Now also, like I said, HGLRC is no stranger to flight controllers. They've been making these for over a year now, and they're doing some pretty complex and really nice flight controllers. A lot of people in the micro community like these, and this is the HGLRC XJB F428 micro all-in-one stack on here that includes that Elf camera. So this is a very well-known flight controller that's inside this little brushless micro. So you're getting pretty good combo here with this ultralight frame and the super ultra powerful micro stack, also with 20mm standoff. So if you do fry something on the ESC setup or the flight controller, everything is replaceable on here, and this frame is not super proprietary. And also, guys, just a quick battery recommendation for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and recommend this 4S 450 milliamp 75C battery by Tattoo. This battery absolutely rips. It doesn't give you the longest flight time because it is a 450, but it gives you a maximum punch out because of the power to weight ratio with this. This lightens up the quad a ton. And for the next one I'd recommend, this would be the Nanotech 850. This is a 45 to 90C battery, and this is going to give you that upwards of 4 minutes flight time, but you're going to have to switch out this XT60 for an XT30 for this particular quad. So not only is that XJB F428 awesome inside here, it also has 16 megabytes built-in flash memory for black box data. So if you guys are wanting to record some of your black box data, go ahead and do that with this flight controller, no big deal. Betaflight 3.2 is on there, and we're pretty much ready to rock. I have the other HGLRC F4 Zeus right here. You guys might want to check out one of these because this one was on the channel a while back, and this one has 20mm by 20mm mounting holes on here. But you know what's special about this one? This one has ESC and a flight controller all in one. So check that out. That is just, let's just go ahead and put both hands down for this. Just go ahead and bow down to the Zeus. It doesn't have a built-in VTX on here, but it has everything all in one stack. And it has a little boot button right here. So This is a really awesome thing. You should check this out. I did a review on this one a little while back. The Zeus is absolutely spectacular. It is, yes, it is a little larger side to side, like some people complained about, but as far as advanced tech, HGLRC is pretty good with their stuff, and they do really, really well at making micro brushless flight controllers. So I just wanted to give you an awesome example of what this company is capable of. So now that you're a little more familiar with this XJB 145, let's go outside and strap a battery up to it. We're gonna run this on 4S. We're gonna do some line of sight flying, some punch outs for you guys, and then we'll do a little FPV with this little 3S micro monster. All right guys, let's go ahead and do a line of sight flight test real quick on the HGLRC 145. So here we go. This is on a little 4S tattoo battery. Pretty peppy actually. Let's go ahead and do a punch out while we got a full battery. That's what I'm talking about. See those LEDs today? This thing flies awesome. Very nice. Acro line of sight. Flies beautiful. All right, let's go ahead and land this and have some FPV fun with it. Here we go. Nice.
Conversation taking